Story 1.
This weekend my wife, 38 female, and our daughter, 13 female, went to visit her mom. I couldn't go because I couldn't get the time off work and we decided it would just be a girls' weekend for them. I'm a firefighter in a large southern city and I'm on a call and gearing up when our dispatcher calls in to tell me that there is some emergency. I'm not really needed on the work call, so I get my cell phone and find a bunch of texts from my kid and a couple from a number I don't have in my phone. In the course of about 11 text messages, I learn that my daughter has gone ice skating and fallen and broken her wrist. She's in the emergency room but cannot get treatment because no one can find my wife. The number that I don't know belongs to a friend of my wife's who has gone to the emergency room to sit with my kid. She was the chaperone for the girls who had gone skating. So, I call this friend and after a lot of hemming and hawing she admits that wifey has gone to dinner with some random guy. Well, we always leave our location shared with the family because of my job. And sure enough I pull up an address and Google it and it's a hotel. This was 10 p.m. It's now almost 4 hours later and she hasn't answered my texts, but she did finally call our kid. I have permission and insurance information and she got a cast and a referral to see an orthopedist when she gets home. The friend took our daughter back to her grandmother's and texted me. She said, "I'm sorry you had to find out this way about this guy. Apparently, it's been going on every time she's gone home that I haven't gone. Meanwhile, I've worked countless hours of overtime to pay off our house, take us a nice vacation, send our daughter to the most expensive private school in our city. I'm a fool."
Update.
Spoke with a lawyer as many of you suggested. During that conversation I realized that she doesn't really have a lot of access to money that is hers. Removed her as an authorized user of my credit cards. Put two-factor authentication on just about anything else that she might try to get her hands on. Pulled my credit report to discover that she opened a joint credit card I didn't know about since I'm on the account as well. I was able to log in and print out the charges, a basically perfect timeline of restaurants and hotels that she has paid for. Turns out she also has accounts on Tinder and Bumble which showed up when I combed through the last few phone bills. Have a pal who is a deputy sheriff in these parts who is going to be here tonight when she gets home. I've gotten her a room at a nearby hotel for the week and paid for it up front. She can sleep there for now and figure it out on her own starting tomorrow. Daughter and I spoke, and she knows what is up and is angry at mom. So next steps are to find someone for her to talk to. Thanks to my job I've got great insurance, so that is one less thing to worry about. Decided I am also going to come clean to her mother once wife and daughter are on the plane back here. Taking a couple of days off to deal with this. Thanks for the advice, everyone. I'll probably yank these posts down tonight or tomorrow, so if you have any other last-minute advice, now is the time.
Update.
This will be the final update on this sad situation. First off, thanks to everyone who weighed in. It's amazing the number of fellow firefighters and Leos I've heard from who are in similar situations. I took a few days of personal time away from the job in order to deal with all of this. The STBXW and our daughter returned home late Sunday and my daughter immediately fled to her room and closed the door. My wife said something along the lines of, "I guess you must be pretty mad at me," and I told her the truth. That I was numb. The anger would come later, and it would be best if she was somewhere else for a while. My friend the deputy sheriff was there and said he would sit on the deck and be there if I needed him. I told the wife that I was recording this conversation to protect me and my rights as a husband and father, and she said fine. I suspected at this point that she really seemed to think that she was going to talk her way out of it. What I didn't tell her was that I'd spent most of the last week talking with friends, my parents, my battalion chief at work, as well as a lawyer and a therapist. I've got a ton of leave and a supportive bunch of coworkers, and if I need to take months off to deal with this, I can. I just said that I was disappointed in her, but mostly I was angry that our daughter got caught in the crossfire of her bad behavior. That she had put our child at risk to get laid. She didn't admit or deny. But then her tone changed, and she almost immediately started in on saying things like, "Remember the time we," trying to get me to remember good times. After about 3 of those mentions I told her the truth. I couldn't trust my memories because I had no idea what she might have been doing. When that didn't work, she went into the whole "I was lonely because you were working so much." I reminded her that we made a deal about how to pursue a future where we could retire early. I got so mad at this point that I pointed out to her that if she had behaved, we could have retired when she was 48 or so, but that I wanted her to remember that promise because now she is going to have to work for herself. I'm not usually a vindictive person, but I like the idea of her having to work until she's 70 years old and being angry every time she gets dressed to go to a job that she hates. Side note, one of my work buddies who is also married, He and his family have vacationed with us a couple of times too, made this observation. Every time we've gone somewhere there has been a day or two where the wife has contrived an excuse to be apart from the family. So, I played a hunch and said something like, "This wasn't the first time. This was just the first time you got caught." And she just hung her head and very quietly said yes. So, I have that admission on tape. She went to the hotel without objection. She wrote me long emails saying things like "I'm sorry and I am not sure why I did what I did." I did not reply. Before she even got home, I'd spoken with her mother and told her about the fact that she was at a hotel with another man while her daughter was in the emergency room, and also about the credit card that she opened. Her mother did not say much, but I told her that if I had any inkling that she was aiding and abetting the wife's bad behavior that I would severely limit her access to her granddaughter. That was probably a mistake on my part, but I was just so angry. The mother-in-law swears that she knew nothing and that she was worried sick. That's something that happened to my wife when no one could reach her. I also told the mother-in-law that I was not going to allow the wife back into the house if I could do so. And that I expected her to understand that I've never yelled or hit or cheated or done anything else other than the things I promised to do when we got engaged. That seemed to resonate with her. My wife's parents split up when she was in high school because her dad was a serial cheater. So maybe that registered with her mom. I sent a text to the friend who took my daughter to the emergency room. I told her I didn't particularly care if she replied. I said I appreciated her being at the with my daughter. But I also said that if she had previous knowledge of where my wife was going, then she should know that she had a huge part in destroying my family. And that a true friend would never encourage such behavior. I haven't figured out how to get in touch with her husband yet, but I suspect, based on just sort of reading between the lines, that she and my wife were kind of egging each other on. Thursday morning, I got a text from the wife saying that her mother had rented her a furnished apartment pretty close to our house. And that she would like to come and get some personal things on Friday when I went to work. I said that was fine. I should point out that during all of this she only texted our daughter one time, and even in her communications with me, she never even asked about her. When she told me she got the apartment, she didn't ask if our daughter could come visit. I told her that I wasn't working on Friday but that I would be out of the house for a couple of hours so she could get some things. I left, but I had a process server waiting across the street, and when she pulled up in the driveway, he handed her divorce papers. They included a notice from my attorney that I intend to file for sole custody, and that she would have visitation rights. She called my voicemail, and she was almost incoherent with rage. I've never heard her so angry, or frankly, sounding so unbalanced. Also, my lawyer had a very good suggestion that I will pass along for anyone else in this position. I got a new cell phone. I don't carry the phone that has the number the wife knows. I've only given a few people the new number. My lawyer, my sister, my daughter, my boss, a couple of good friends from work. I take a look at the old phone once a day and see if there's anything I need to deal with. I know there's a lot of other advice out there that I did not touch on, but there is no need for a paternity test because my daughter looks exactly like me. I will get an STD panel, but I don't think that's an issue either. My lawyer did get notified that the wife has hired a lawyer. But I made it clear that I am going to stay in the house and the daughter is going to stay there with me. I may have to write her a large check thanks to the vagaries of family law, but at this point, I really don't care. I'd probably add a 0 to the check if I could get rid of her 6 months earlier.
My opinion. Contacting a lawyer in such situations is always the best thing. They know exactly what to do, without too much of emotions. Glad you did so. About the situation itself and your wife. Well, seems like she wasn't really sorry at all. Feels like she is a serial cheater. Such people cannot be fixed. They're like wolves, doesn't matter how you feed them, they will always look to the forest. And the worst part of it that she chose another man rather than your daughter. That is a worst sign that indefinitely means that there is no chance for reconciliation. I'm glad that you're not even thinking about it. Doesn't worth it at all. I'm sure, you will come out of it as a winner from this situation. You're a strong man who will be a rock for the daughter. Story 2.
My 36 male wife, 34 female, cheated on me back in 2019. I was blindsided and I wanted to share because I was told my reaction was a little unhealthy. After I was played like some kind of fool, I wanted to understand why some women were so untrustworthy. My wife had showed me she had no loyalty, even though I did what I needed to keep her happy. Me and my wife got married 6 years ago and we were in a good place from the beginning. I worked handling the accounts at my company and she was a STNA nurse when I met her. We rented a nice house and wasn't in any real debt. We were good at managing our money, so spending wasn't a problem. We communicated easily, worked good as a team, and getting physical at night was easy because she was just gorgeous and kept her looks up always. Our family had got along good, and me and her brother Jacob was practically best friends. He worked as the custodian at the hospital she worked at thanks to their mom, and we always looked out for her little brother. My wife was clearly an independent woman, and she could always think for herself. She always had a sense of confidence and demand respect from me and Jacob. We didn't have kids, but I felt like if we did, she would be a good inspiration. But the problem with her was that she had toxic friends around her. The way they talked about each other made me feel like they were more like rivals than anything. They would talk about each other all week, but party together and claim they were sisters. Not only that, but they would also get into terrible arguments. Especially when they were drunk. I can't count how many times they had a falling out with each other. Then the next week they would go out on a girls' trip to be on vacation. I was told that girls secretly be in competition with each other, so I thought it was just typical. It could be annoying, but I just took the good for the bad. I just thought it was normal between the 5 of them. The affair happened when her friend Erica was about to get married. Before the marriage, it's normal to have their wild parties, so my wife and her friends left that night to throw Erica the party they planned at the hotel. I knew they were going to be out all night, so I didn't bother waiting up for her. A couple days after the wedding, I was getting ready to hop in the shower that night when I heard my phone ringing in the bedroom. At the time, I wasn't sure if that's what I heard, so I just hopped in the shower. When I came out the shower, I saw I had 6 missed calls, and they were from the same number. This was weird to me, so I didn't call the person back since I didn't know who this person was. When I was in my living room, the number called again, and even though I didn't know the number, I decided to pick up. When I answered, nobody answered me back at first, and all I could hear was a girl talking to a guy in the background. After saying hello 3 times, I just hung up. After that, they called again, and I immediately picked up the phone. This time the girl answered me back, and I realized it was one of my wife's friends. I asked her friend, let's just call her Jasmine, why she was calling me. She immediately started calling my wife names and said she cheated on me at the party. This had put a real fear in me, but I still said she didn't know what she was talking about. She said she did know and that she had recorded it as proof to show me. I asked her what she was talking about, and she told me everything. She said at Erica's party, they had hired some guys to come there and dance for everybody. Since my wife was extra friendly to one of the guys, he kept coming back to her and he had crossed the line with her. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, but at the same time I knew this kind of thing wasn't uncommon. After hearing me not say anything for a minute, Jasmine said if I wanted the evidence, she would send it to my phone. I told her send it to me, and she said to hang up while she got ready to send it. After about 5 minutes she sent me 4 video files, and when I looked at them, I had collapsed on my couch seeing the proof. I called Jasmine back, and she asked me did I get it, and while being choked up, I said I did get it. She started calling my wife's name again and told me she was sorry for how she acted. I asked her why she would do this to somebody she claimed was her sister, and she never gave me a direct answer. She just said my wife and her friends were a bunch of hypocrites and called them fake. I asked how she got my number, and she reminded me my wife called her from my phone asking directions for her dinner party she had at a restaurant. She said she was done being their friend and said that Erica was doing bad things too. Jasmine said talk to my wife about it, and I told her she was at another friend's house at the time, but I definitely was. After hanging up, I was falling to pieces. I knew I had to confront her. There was 4 full videos of my wife being with another guy. But after that, I didn't know what my life would be like and how she could do this to me. I never trusted these parties, but I didn't think it would happen to me. I don't even get invited to these things. When my wife got home, I confronted her as soon as she walked in the door. I asked her how she was doing, and she said she was tired but fine. I told her I never asked her how Erica's party was and did she have fun. She seemed caught off guard a little, but she said it was fine. I told her Jasmine said she had a fun time, and that she even recorded her to show me later. She looked spooked and asked me what I was talking about, and I showed her the videos of her and the guy getting it on that night. First her jaw dropped, then she screamed at what she saw. She begged me not to leave her, and said Jasmine was doing this because my wife had replaced her with somebody else to be one of Erica's bridesmaids. She said her and Erica got into a big argument about it, with her and Erica uninvited her from the ceremony. When I heard this, I could kind of see why Jasmine was mad, but not to go this far though. It didn't matter to me because I told her I was getting a divorce, and that's exactly what I did. Through the whole divorce, both of our families wanted us to reconcile. I was told even though she shouldn't have done it, it was a special night for them, and I wasn't supposed to have known. I told them that was supposed to be for the bride, and even if she was, I wouldn't stay with her. I couldn't believe my wife was doing this with this guy, especially in public. After finally getting divorced, I still couldn't leave the situation alone. I got in touch with other guys that dance and asked them about getting women. I even asked women. The women said they don't but know girls who did it for extra money. The guys I asked said they get girls all the time, especially the bride. One guy said when he started, it wasn't like that at first. But the women started wanting it, and it just became normal. When I told my friends this, they said it was unhealthy and I should stop talking to them. I don't know, I guess it was just how I was handling it at the time, but I don't see nothing wrong with it. I just couldn't get those videos out my head, especially when the guy knew she was being secretly recorded. Right now, my ex-wife lives in her own apartment close to her job somewhere. I used to see her family occasionally and they still ask me to forgive her because of the circumstance, but I can't do it. I hate to admit it, but Jasmine was right when she said my ex-wife was a fake friend, but apparently her love was fake too. Now she doesn't regret it, I hear. Thank you reading through all of this and please continue to stay genuine.
My opinion, you did exactly what you needed to do. Even if this was a special day, bride and her friends are not mean to cheat their men hiding under that specialty. Talking to those dancers seems a bit excessive, but I guess you were just searching for answers. But I think that the situation is still eating you out, so it will be better to let it go or to receive a consultation. About the girl, well, I believe her intentions doesn't mean much in that situation. Your wife did what she did. No matter who and why uncovered this to you, it just happened, and she is guilty. Even if it was a bet between girls. Still doesn't matter in this situation. The funny thing is that you've been told that cheating on the bachelorette party is normal. Was it normal when she had the same party before you got married? Just wondering. Wish you all the best. I hope you will find a good girl and will not face that again. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe on my channel.